I asked AI what white guilt was,
Hmm.
and it said white guilt is the feeling of shame and remorse that some white people experience when they recognize the legacy of racism and racial injustice, as well as their own unearned privileges associated with it. This emotion can sometimes motivate individuals to confront and address issues of racial inequality, but it can also lead to defensiveness or inaction.
Hmm.
And, ladies and gentlemen, that is what it means to be white in America today in a nutshell. Okay, guys, we're back with another video, and I want to shine some light on a post that I made on Instagram that a lot of people got mad at me about, but I still stand. I hold my ground in what I meant, but there needs to be a further explanation because it's just a post. And I think that people are forgetting everything that we've been going through over the past 10, 20 years, but it's actually been longer than that. But we're just going to traverse through the last 10 or 20 years. Do me a favor, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Comment if this video, if you have something to say, comment. It helps the algorithm. If you don't like the video, comment in the bottom of the video and let us know you didn't like the video. And if you really don't like the video, comment and tell us how much you hated it and double click the dislike button. All right. Darren, I want to know whether or not you saw the post that I made. Did you see this post?
Uh, the one about the white woman,
Yes.
yeah,
The one
raising her
about
kids as
yeah,
proud white men. Yeah.
yeah. There was a post on X by Evelyn. I don't even know how to pronounce her name to be honest with you. Evelyn Hani.
I
Uh,
can't see it cut off by the logo.
yeah. Now apparently she is married to William Hani. I don't know. I don't know. She's a industrial engineer. Um, so yeah, but this is what she says. She said, I have two sons, and one thing I'm certain of in raising them is that they will never feel ashamed of being young, white men. Now she continues and ends it with, I will raise them to feel proud. And there are a lot of people who actually share in that sentiment and probably were encouraged by her post, but I commented, to which she's not looking out for at all. But I'm just reading my comment so you can get context on what I posted on Instagram that got people a bit upset. And I said the problem with ethnic idolatry is that it is ethnic idolatry. To emphasize a secondary and tertiary aspect of ourselves, we neglect the primary, that we belong in life and death in both body and spirit to our creator, God. And, I highlight that because what I highlighted on Instagram was that because of this is what I said. I said, round and round we go, right? Because we can see what's shaping in society today. And we've talked about this many times, but the only reason we can see it shaping in society today is because we know where that sentiment ends up leading in today's society. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah, we know where it can lead. Yeah,
Yeah. Like, what are your thoughts about her post?
I think it's merely um responsive. It's a response to white people being made to feel ashamed of being white. Just
Mhm.
like am I racist? It's that. I think it's a response to that feeling. It's like, why are people forcing me to not celebrate my culture?
Right.
I think it can be that innocent, but obviously, it can obviously get more vindictive and more
Right.
spiteful.
And that's where I was going because there are a lot of Black Americans from our generation and maybe slightly before our generation who were raised to feel proud of being Black.
Hmm.
I'm not going to say that that is inherently evil. I will say that that plays a heavy role in a lot of the toxicity we're seeing in society today.
Hmm.
I think that people have idolized their ethnicity under
Hmm.
the guise of being proud. I know Black Americans are going to get mad at me for saying that. Um, but when you have two groups of people who have that pride in their ethnicity, what's the result?
Hmm.
What's the result? And so this is what people were saying on Instagram. Um, One, there were people who just don't follow us. They don't follow the podcast. They don't, so they don't even know the sentiment behind the post. And I'm not addressing that there's an issue with what she posted. I'm addressing there's an issue with the ideology in general, because that ideology
Mhm.
right now is, like you said, it is a response to what has been happening in society. But what people are forgetting is that what's happening in society is a response to what was once happening in society. That's why
Mhm.
everybody has to hearken on slavery and Jim Crow. The fact of the matter is those things are real, however old
Mhm.
they are, they were real. And people will hold on to the reality of their existence in history for as long as they can to justify their own hatred and bitterness that they have towards their neighbor, because
Mhm.
that's what the human heart does. And so I'm thinking, so yes, we got this post of this woman who's living in our time and she's experiencing it firsthand. And as a result, she'll train up her child in a secondary way through that filter. So, what's going to be the result of that? That's ultimately my question. What's going to be the result of that? Um, Maybe her mindset is tempered. It's like, look, I'm going to teach him not to feel ashamed, but I'm going to teach him to be proud, to be white. What does that look like when he's 20 and people are still out here doing what they're doing, if not worse?
Mhm.
You know, what does it look like when you have situations like this? Have you seen this? Let me pull this up. This situation that happened in Baltimore. Um, it's quite inflammatory.
It's a dramatic incident caught on cell phone video, circulating now on social media. A boy attacked. Baltimore County Police say it happened at the Kings Mill Apartments in Essex last Friday. A violent disturbance that unfolded in this patch of yard at Hatwick Drive. Neighbors who say they were not home that day are stunned now by what they see in the video. It's not right.
It's disheartening. Like, I can cry.
A boy seen in the video being punched, thrown to the ground, kicked, even at one point, his pants pulled down by a group of several other young boys. Tony Longo.
Now, Darren, do me a favor. What's missing from that report?
Yeah, if the roles reversed, they'd have been like 7 white boys
Yeah, yeah,
jump on a young innocent black man
yeah, 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 yeah,
in
yeah,
the name of hatred and
yeah.
Donald Trump. I
Yeah.
love Tesla.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I think that people don't realize that other Americans haven't been living in a vacuum.
Mhm.
They've silently, semi, have been dealing with that reality. That one, if that was reversed, and this is not even hyperbole, if that was reversed ethnically, then the marches would not only still be going today, Baltimore City would be burned to the ground.
Mhm.
It would be burned to the ground. And by association, every white American, because of their share of the hue of their skin, would be guilty.
Mhm.
Because according to um, new definitions that have been formed, they were guilty before it even happened.
Right.
Like all of that has been happening. I'm surprised that Am I Racist really wasn't like convicting for more people. It just really exposed the nonsense that people have been really sitting through. I mean, even in Am I Racist, you had rooms filled with white people paying tens of thousands of dollars to hear about how disgusting they are.
The only problem with those movies is that the only people who watch them are the people who are probably going to agree.
Correct. It's
Like
true.
they're not going to, it's not going to be a room full of liberal-minded people watching "Am I Racist" by Matt Walsh.
Right.
So,
And so to get into the corner of our white brothers and sisters here, um, I'm highlighting the sentiment behind it. I recognize that people are angry, and her tweet on X, I wonder if that's ever going to stop. We call it a tweet, whatever. But her tweet on X is a direct response to what's been happening in society. My whole point is that round and round that will go.
Mhm.
There is no end to that until Jesus comes.
But what does that look like? What does it look like to raise your sons to be proud white men?
And that's my argument. I'm speaking on behalf of me. My argument is we're seeing that now of people
Yeah.
who were raised to be proud black Americans. It's an idolizing. I can't speak. It's an idolizing of ethnicity. And so when you idolize your ethnicity, anything said in the name of ethnicity against your ethnicity is punishable by death. I'm using hyperbole there, but somewhat,
Mhm.
somewhat. Um, and it's gotten out of control. So much out of control that you have Good Samaritans on metro buses or trains who literally stop people from getting murdered and are fighting for their lives, end up fighting for their lives in courtrooms because they're white.
Mhm.
I hope we don't miss that. Daniel Penny went through what he went through because he's white.
Mhm.
That's it. And black Americans who disagree with us, it's fine that you disagree. Just don't disagree on the basis of you having some moral high ground and understanding the world a bit better. Just be real and say, that's right. Go ahead, get that cracker.
Mhm.
Talk open and honestly about your hatred. You remember what were you about to say?
Nothing. Go ahead.
You remember the what was it? I wanna share it. Do you remember I wanna say Atlanta? It was an Atlanta spa that was shot up. Oh my goodness, get my thoughts together. There was a man. I should have had this pulled up. There
With
was a
the what they said they killed like 6 Asian massage therapists or something?
no. It was 6 people. 2 of them were Asian.
No, that's what they said.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they said it
Oh,
was all Asian. That's why I went to the Stop Asian Hate thing.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And then it caught wind, right? It caught
Mhm.
fire. It caught fire, the whole Stop Asian Hate thing, and we ended up finding out that he killed 6 people total. Not only that, he left a manifesto on why he did it. He was explicit about why he did it. But what was
Mhm.
more popular? Run with the white supremacist narrative. Run with the why white people are disgusting narrative. Run with the narrative that further justifies our already embittered hatred towards white people because he
Mhm.
had killed 2 Asians and 4 white people.
Right.
But just on the basis we didn't actually care about that. They're insignificant. And I was hearing this type of thinking from Christians, maybe not explicitly the way that I just said it, but I was in arguments with people where it's like, why are you wanting to promulgate this narrative that this is based on white supremacy when he explicitly stated why he did it? And number 2, he killed white Americans,
Mhm.
but they don't matter. They're inhumane. And we're watching the toxicity of the country when black Americans were seen as inhumane or subhuman. We're watching that kind of grow and dig roots with our eyes. Look at this article from NBC. Viral images show people of color as anti-Asian perpetrators. That misses the big picture. A new analysis reveals misconceptions about perpetrators, victims, and the general environment around anti Asian hate incidents. These can have quote unquote long term consequences for racial solidarity, researcher Janelle Wong said. I'm going to read just a little bit of it, but don't worry, I'm going to post the links in the bottom in the description so people can read it themselves and refresh their memory. This is coming from June 2021. It's by Kimmy Yam. He says, while news reports and social media have perpetuated the idea that anti-Asian violence is committed mostly by people of color, a new analysis shows the majority of attackers are white.
With no numbers or stats.
Janelle Wong, a professor of American Studies at the University of Maryland College Park, released analysis last week that drew on previously published studies on anti-Asian bias. She found official crime statistics and other studies revealed more than 3/4 of offenders of anti-Asian hate crimes and incidents from both before and during the pandemic have been white, contrary to many of the images circulating online. Now, what's interesting about that is they could easily post videos,
Right. Yeah.
but the actual things that they are talking about in this article are other videos.
Yeah.
They're videos of people posting.
Yeah. They literally are saying, "Don't believe what you see. We
Yeah.
have the truth."
We have the truth.
I hate Asians. Look, he's scared, OG. Crack your You hear that? Get your ass.
Man, hey, go get your kids, man. Go get your kids, man. Go get your kids, man. Don't be scared. Go get your kids.
Go get your kids. Oh, yeah. He just robbed your dumb ass.
Go get the kids.
He said, get the fuck off of him. Get your ass. He said, get the
You better go get your kids. That nigga made a good
We have the truth. Like, hey, it's actually not black people. It's white people. Redirect your anger. But look, it doesn't end there. It gets better. Look at this. The history of tensions and solidarity between black and Asian American communities explained. Look at the subtitle. How white supremacy tried to divide black and Asian Americans and how communities worked to find common ground.
Yikes.
So what's interesting about this article is that it's presupposing that there has been tension between black and Asian communities, but it's
But
blaming
white people's fault.
for it.
Yeah.
It's blaming white people. Against the backdrop of anti-racism protests last summer, racist violence was surging in Chinatowns and Asian American communities across the country. In July, an 89-year-old Chinese woman was set on fire while walking on the street after being slapped in the face in Brooklyn, New York. The two assailants, she said, didn't say a word before attacking her. She scrambled to put out the fire, but it left a huge burn mark on the back of her pink blouse, a grisly reminder of the attack. What's interesting about that report? Just that passage. What's missing?
Ethnicity.
Yeah. We don't know the ethnicity. And I think people have caught on to that, right? They've caught on to that game that when the ethnicity isn't listed, it's probably not a white person.
Yeah.
The ethnicity of a crime is only significant when it indeed is a white person. Like I said, these things were not happening in a vacuum. People are around, real people with families, with children. Not only that, I have white American boys I know and love who have graduated high school recently, are currently in high school, and they have explicitly stated they don't know really how to deal. They don't know how to get along with anybody. They don't know how to build bridges with anybody. They don't know how to make friends because they feel like they're at the bottom of the totem pole. No matter what. Because what they're learning in a public school setting is that the worst type of person you could ever be is a cisgendered white Christian man. So that's making sense on what this mother posted on Twitter. The question is that the solution? Raise him to be a proud white boy. But here's another article. This was another one. Now, this is by the Hoover Institution, and they seem to be actually interested in what's true. They say this: white guilt, how blacks and whites together destroyed the promise of the civil rights era. I'm going to read just a little bit of it. This is coming from Shelby Steele, 2007. So she, this was, early, relatively. In 1955, the killers of Emmett Till, a black Mississippi youth, were acquitted because they were white. 40 years later, despite the strong DNA evidence against him, accused murderer O.J. Simpson went free after his attorney portrayed him as a victim of racism. The age of white supremacy has given way to an age of white guilt, and neither has been good for African Americans. I'm just going to stop it there, and I'm going to leave the article in the description.
Mhm.
But just in that small passage, the author highlights a very important thing, that you had Emmett Till, who was murdered, just murdered. That's a crime, and justice needed to be done, and it wasn't. And so you have Black Americans who will hold on not only to incidents like that, probably hold on to that actual incident and use it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they will use it under the guise of their love for justice. I just love justice so much. I want to see righteousness reign in this world. Until somebody Black gets away scot-free instead of having justice served on them. And then they say, but they Black. They've been through enough.
Remember,
Another thing, we can watch a younger generation who didn't grow up in a vacuum and who's obviously affected by society. Look at this thing, Jubilee. So they did a video that I'm about to play some of it. I'm going to post the link in the description. They did a video where they had all white Americans and they asked them some questions to see if all white people think alike, essentially. I think that's what the title was or something like that. And this first question is about reverse racism. Do they think reverse racism exists? Which is an interesting question in and of itself, but let's listen in.
Believe in reverse racism. 3, 2, 1.
I don't know what that is.
We can explain it.
Okay, what is it? I'll stay here then. Before I decide. Reverse racism is like someone being racist against you because you are white. Like, do you believe that someone can be racist against a white person?
Yeah. I grew up where it was completely like Hispanic.
So for those who are just listening, the woman talking now, what ends up happening is they ask this question, and based on how they feel, they'll walk to where their answer is, whether it be strongly agree, strongly disagree, or anywhere in between, somewhat agree, disagree. And the woman speaking now strongly agrees that white people you can be racist towards a white person. She's speaking now.
I grew up where it was completely like Hispanic culture. I was constantly made fun of because I was white. Oh, white people can't dance. White people look stupid, whatever. They say those mean things to me and more hurtful things than that. It's like a hard pill to swallow because if I turned around and said, Black people can't dance, I'd get hell for that. But then if someone says the same words to me, it's somehow okay because
You have to look at the difference of it though. And I relate to you. I grew up with all Latino or Black friends. I had very few white friends. And yeah, I got made fun of for being like the white girl. I was gringa. And I didn't take offense to it because the huge part about racism is that there's hate and oppression behind it. And as a white person in America, I do not feel oppressed.
for me,
Now,
what? That's your
Yeah.
response?
let's dive in that real quick, just really quickly. What are your thoughts on what she just said?
So weak. That's such a weak response. That doesn't even address anything she said. And
No,
also, like, reverse racism presupposes that it's completely in the opposite direction, right? It's only one-to-one
right.
swap.
Yeah, reverse racism presupposes
It is-
that
yeah, that-
racism is
yeah,
only
right.
white people doing
Right.
something towards non-white people.
White people are the common denominator,
Yeah.
and everything else is toward them. You know, it's whatever.
It's interesting how anti-racists believe white supremacy more than majority white Americans do.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they're like, they own everything, they're in power, everything. It's like, well, you know, you hold them in higher esteem than I think majority white Americans hold themselves in higher esteem. I'm sure we're gonna catch some flack for saying that,
So
but
she basically defined racism. The second girl basically defined racism as whether or not it offends you.
yeah, this is what I
How
call.
people treat you.
I caught on to the fact that she believes that she said that she doesn't feel oppressed.
Right.
That's why it isn't racism, which implies that we necessarily feel oppressed
hmm
if she were to say something to me, which is condescending to me.
Right.
It's going to get better though. It's going to get better.
I feel like anything we do can come out racist to any other type of race. But at the same time, if they say something mean or racist to us that we feel is racist, it kind of gets brushed off.
When I think of the word racism, I think more towards oppression, so that's why I'm in the disagree. Like, I'll deal with someone just being mean to me, but whatever.
So did you hear that?
No.
The boy, he said that let me let him say it again. and then we'll get a little commentary.
When I think of the word racism, I think more
We do can come out racist to any other type of race, but at the same time, if they say something mean or racist to us that we feel is racist, it kind of gets brushed off.
when I think of the word racism, I think more towards oppression, so that's why I'm in the disagree. Like, I'll deal with someone just being mean to me, but whatever.
So remember, the question is, does reverse racism exist? He
Mhm.
disagrees, and he says, I disagree. There are a lot of presuppositions in it. I disagree because when I think of racism, I think of it as oppression. So therefore, since it is oppression and reverse racism is racism towards white people, I disagree that it exists. I'm filling in the answers for him that he didn't say, because white people can't be oppressed. That's what he
Right.
said. Then he proceeds to say, like, what's implied what's implied by what he didn't say is that, well, what if they're, I guess, responding to what the other women just said, that, hey, there are people who say mean things to me because of my ethnicity. And his response was, if somebody says mean things to me, whatever, I don't care.
Mhm.
And what's implied in that?
Black people can't do that. Yeah,
Black people can't do that, can't have a
Yeah.
strong backbone, can't have a sense of identity that doesn't get shredded whenever somebody says dance and calls us a mean name.
Mhm.
That's offensive and condescending.
Mhm.
So ironic. They continue.
I am proud to be white. 3, 2,
So the statement for the listeners is, I am proud to be white.
1.
Just be in the middle.
Yeah.
Can there be a middle?
All right.
Yeah, pick a side. Pick a side.
I don't know which one to pick.
Don't hate you guys.
I almost went there too. It's like
I think
so
like
hard.
guiltily, like
What a
I'm,
dumb
like,
question.
happy that I'm not oppressed, but I'm not proud of like
Ugh.
things people have done in the past.
When I think of being proud of something, I think of something I worked for, or that I had to do nothing to be white, absolutely nothing, and nothing was taken from me because I was white.
It's like saying I'm a proud white person is a completely different saying than saying I'm a proud black person. Because when you hear I'm a proud black person, I think empowerment, I think strength, I think courage, I think, all these
You just
amazing things that the black
defeated herself.
How you doing, dog? How you doing over there?
Sick of her. That's a dumb question. First of all,
it's intentional. Of course they're gonna do this.
I mean, I would if the question was asked to me, I would stand in the middle, but not for those reasons. I mean, you could say the same thing. What is the middle? Neutral, or what is it? Or
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
would-
if you can stay in the middle. I don't know.
Oh, you can't.
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
But here's
but
the
I would.
thing. One guy, he started to make a good point where it's like, I think of pride or being proud.
Yeah.
I think of something I accomplished.
Right.
And he said, I didn't do anything to be white, which is a great argument. And then he has to go
Right.
further.
I didn't lose anything by
I
being
didn't
white.
lose anything because of being white. It's like,
But I could say the same thing.
yeah,
I didn't
right.
do anything to be black, and I didn't lose anything being black.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Let's listen.
he has done and accomplished throughout the years. But then when you say I am a strong or I'm a proud white person, already there's so much like hate involved in that.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. And that is the younger generation. These people look early to mid 20s. And this is the country they grew up in. So you're already seeing this formative principle in this younger generation on how they ought to think of themselves, right?
Mhm.
And so it makes sense that when you have a woman who is older than that, more established, has also seen the good times, has
Mhm.
seen how things can be, and is angry, is going to intentionally raise her child to not only not be that, whatever we just watched on Jubilee,
Yeah.
but she wants him to be firm and boisterous about it. And when it comes down to the human heart, which in Jeremiah 17 says it's deceitful and desperately sick, that's why we have the division we have in the world today.
Mhm.
Because you have Black Americans saying, no, I'm not racist. I might be prejudiced, but I can't be racist because racism is, what is it? Prejudice with power or something like that. And I don't have
You
power.
make up your own definition.
Yeah, they make up their own definitions so that they can feel justified in their hatred.
Mhm.
Obviously, we're not talking about the world. The world is going to world. Secular is going to be secular. Pagan is going to be pagan. There are Christians who share this idea. And then now, because of that, and because of society, and because that every TV show, every form of music, every form of entertainment, every award show will necessarily find it easier to slander a white American, there is going to rise a generation of embittered, hateful people justifying their hatred when they look back at history.
Right.
Round and round we go. And I think that Christians need to do better and get out of the swimming pool of the world and start training their children in the knowledge of the Lord. That's what they need. That's what bothers so many Black Americans about us.
Mm-hmm.
Is because we don't pledge allegiance to our skin color, yet we still know it exists. We're not ignorant of it, not blind, but we know our skin color, and every other skin color points to the one who gave it to them. It glorifies him. And there are people who profess Jesus yet don't know him and quite literally hate him. And they show it.
I've seen people like that with Charlie Kirk. And these young white liberals in college, they different because they'll argue with a black person.
Yeah.
A black person get up like, look, I'm not oppressed, I'm free. No, yes you are. Yes you are.